All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call halayim Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakal Quitash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book of the Bible. All right, so I just want to get into some quick news real quick. All right, this is coming yesterday, all right, March 3rd. I also have this article here, all right, because now you have Iran, all right, striking Saudi Arabia, man. All right, now you got all these countries that are coming into this U.S. and Israel and Iran war, man. All right, and the whole point of the elites was to create this war between Israel and Iran, between the Muslim world and Judaism world, all right, to bring the rest of this world into this conflict, man, to cause World War III. This has been the whole plan of the elites the whole time. The Albert Pike and Mazzini blueprint, the Albert Pike and Mazzini plan, all right, which is something I bring out all the time, all right, because now you got multiple nations, all right, 11 or more nations now in this war, all right, because Iran has struck multiple nations, man, all right. So let's get into this. This is coming from the Jerusalem Post. All right, so is Saudi Arabia now going to enter into this war? All right, because Iran struck Saudi infrastructure, like it says right here in the title of this article. All right, coming from the Jerusalem Post, this is March 3rd, 2026. All right, Iran strikes Saudi infrastructure, pushing Riyadh toward possible war. All right, which Riyadh, that's, you know, Saudi Arabia, the capital. All right, it says Iranian strikes on Saudi oil, water, and diplomatic sites have crossed key red lines. All right, experts warn. All right, forcing Riyadh to weigh retaliation against fears of wider regional escalation. All right, and this is the whole point, you know, of this war. All right, to bring about World War III, to bring about biblical prophecy. All right, which is what the true prophets and the true servants of the Lord have been prophesying. World War III, we've been telling you, man. All right, it says following the Iranian missile and drone strikes on Saudi oil departments, all right, depots, all right, desalination plants, all right, and the U.S. Embassy in Riyadh, all right, the Saudi kingdom is now standing on the precipice of open war against Tehran. According to leading Middle East experts, while Riyadh has long sought to avoid direct confrontation, the nature of the Iranian barrage has crossed a critical red line that makes Saudi military response not just possible but likely. Woo! All right, it says, however, the Saudi leadership balances its fury over the violation of sovereignty against the realization that it might be being baited into a conflict with no clear exit strategy. Bernard Hakel, all right, professor of Near Eastern Studies at Princeton University and a senior fellow at the Hudson Institute, told the Jerusalem Post that the Saudi calculus has shifted fundamentally because Iran targeted vital civilian infrastructure. All right, the Saudi red line. It says Hakel explained that Riyadh had previously communicated a specific warning to Tehran. If Saudi Arabia remained neutral during a U.S.-Israel conflict with Iran, its infrastructure must remain off limits. All right, the Iranians did tell the Saudis that if they faced an existential attack by Israel and or America, that they would attack Saudi Arabia, Hakel said. And so the Saudis said, if you do that and we're neutral, we will join forces with the Americans and attack you. And that's crazy because that's two Muslim nations, right? And two, Islamic nations. All right. It says the fact that Iran struck the energy and water sectors seem to have met the conditions. All right, you see how all these nations are, and what's funny because, you know, these attacks are coming from on high. You know, there's a reason why Iran is striking all these other nations that have nothing to do with, you know, their wars with Israel, man. All right, because the whole point is to create this third world war where all these other nations got to defend themselves, all right, and come into this war. All right, it says the Saudi red line, all right, was that if civilian installations, oil installations, water desalinized desalinations installations, all right, electricity generation, and communications were attacked, the Saudis would attack Iran, and that's what's happening now, Haykel stated. All right, now the Saudis are thinking about what to do and whether they should counter attack. All right, so, you know, just let you know what's going on, man, what's happening. All right, it says Michael Ratney, former U.S. ambassador to Saudi Arabia and currently a senior advisor at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, says that the strikes might have been a deliberate provocation. All right, my sense is the Iranians either implicitly, all right, or on purpose, and I don't know which, seem to be goading the Saudis into getting into the fray, Ratney said, while confirming that the strikes on the U.S. embassy and other locations have violated Saudi sovereignty and that it deeply angers them. Ratney suggested that the kingdom's response might be tempered by the fear of uncontrollable chaos. All right, I think they're going to be cautious about their own retaliation because they know that means an unknown level of escalation that they would have to deal with. Ratney told the Post, all right, I think they knew that this was a possibility. I don't think they are shocked so much as they see this as always having been one of the risk of a military confrontation with Iran. All right, the hesitation to launch a full-scale counterstrike stems from Saudi Arabia's economic transformation plans, all right, which rely heavily on stability to attract tourism and foreign investment, all right, plans that are currently imperiled. All right, it says quote unquote, given where they are economically, given the vulnerability of their energy infrastructure, given the message this is sending to international investors and tourists, I think they fear that instability, violence, and uncertainty the most, Ratney noted. All right, so you see what's going on, man. All right, things are escalating, man, and this is Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai doing all this. All right, this is the will of the Lord. This is what we've been prophesying about. This is all throughout the scriptures, bro. Come on, man. All right. It says, however, the strategic reality of the Gulf suggests the kingdom cannot stand alone. Haykel noted that despite structural tensions between Saudi Arabia and the UAE, the current crisis will force the Gulf Cooperation Council states into a unified defensive posture. All right, they will put together, of course, says they will pull together, of course, because they have a common enemy, Haykel said. They're being attacked by the same people. And that's what's going to happen when Yahweh Shai returns. All right, because, you know, this entire earth is going to be at war, you know, World War III. But when Yahweh Shai splits that sky in half, all these nations are going to come together to put their differences aside to fight Yahweh Shai. Every single nation on this earth, when Yahweh Shai splits that sky in half, are all going to come together. Every nation on earth that is at war in this third world war, they're all going to come together, all right, and try to fight Yahweh Shai and the angels. That's the war in heaven that Revelation 12 is talking about. And Yahweh Shai and the angels are going to put on a show, and they're just going to destroy the hell out of the nations of Esau, Edom's armies, man, and all the armies on this earth. That's 1 Corinthians the 15th chapter. When the scriptures, when Paul said Yahweh Shai is going to put down all rule, power, and authority, You know? It says, ultimately, the experts agree that while Saudi Arabia may feel compelled to retaliate to restore deterrence, they are terrified of the end game. Unlike Israel, which views the collapse of the Islamic Republic as a security victory, Saudi Arabia views it as a demographic nightmare. They worry about a failed state, Hakel explained. They don't want a failed state with 92 million people, all right, next door. That seems to me quite normal when you are next to Iran, whereas Israel is 1,000 kilometers away. It doesn't care, all right? So you see what's happening, bro. All right, you see what's happening. I also got this other article. All right, Saudi Arabia to take all necessary measures, all right, to defend its security cabinet says. All right, March 4th, it says Saudi Arabia will take all necessary measures to defend its security and protect its territory, citizens, and residents. All right, the state news agency reported earlier on Wednesday, citing a cabinet statement. An Iranian attack targeted U.S. Embassy in Riyadh on Tuesday amid ongoing Iranian missile and drone strikes on Gulf states that host U.S. bases, following U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran on Saturday. All right. That's all they had. All right for that. Oh, wow. All right, because I didn't even get a chance to read, to look at this whole article. All right, but yeah, you see what's going on, man. All right, is Saudi Arabia now going to enter this war? All right, which is allies with the U.S. A major ally to the U.S., to the United States, to Babylon. Right? So I just reporting on this to let you know what's happening, man. To let you know what time we're living in, what's going on, what's popping off, bro. Shit is not going to get better from here. It's just going to keep escalating and escalating and escalating. All right, until Russia and China and North Korea is involved, these major superpowers, to bring upon you what we've been prophesying, biblical prophecy, the Lord's will, to bring all these nations together into the valley of Jehovah. Bro, the scriptures don't lie. The Lord said, my word shall not return unto you void. We've been prophesying and telling you this, man. The Lord is bringing all the nations into the valley of Jehoshaphat right now as we speak. All right. So, Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Ratazah. This was and is edifying, man. To wake your ass up to come back to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. All right. Because right now, the Lord's mercy is still open, man. As long as you see these videos going up, the prophets are out on the highways and hedges. All right. The Lord's arm is still stretched out, man. And you got to come under it, man. The door is so slightly open, man. You got to slither in that mug. The Lord is long suffering, so he's making things, last a little while, but things are moving fast, man. Because last year felt like the year. This year definitely feels like the year, but the Lord does things how he want to do things, man. It don't seem like we got 5 years here. Things are about to pop off for real. It's only going to keep escalating from here, and things are not going to get better, man. So it's time for you, do you elect that's still out there, to come back to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Unless you want to get destroyed in that nuclear fire. All right. So I'll leave it at that, man. On to the next one. Shalom.